this is Sharon Weinstein, and today I want to talk to you about there is so much more to life than stress. Gandhi tells us there is more to life than increasing its speed. Think about it. We hear about stress every day. It affects our minds and our bodies. Job stress increases the risk of cardiovascular disease and the development of back and upper extremity musculoskeletal disorders. The differences in rates of mental health problems such as depression and burnout for different occupations may be partly due to differences in job stress level. Clearly, we can reap significant benefits from reducing the stress in our lives, at work, and at home. But before we can create a formula for stress relief, we need to better understand the complex phenomena causing our hearts to be overstimulated, our immune systems to be depressed, our hormonal output to be unbalanced, and our reproductive systems to function abnormally. So what is this thing called stress? The physiology of stress can be described as a specific response by the body to a stimulus, such as pain or fear that disturbs or interferes with the body's normal physiologic equilibrium. Stress is not unusual or abnormal. It's an everyday response by the body to an event. So your heart rate and inspiration increase when you anticipate muscular activity. Stress is what your body experiences as it adjusts to ever-changing circumstances. As a positive influence, stress can fill you with excitement and propel you into action or provide you with a feeling of happiness and joy. Stress can be very motivating. It allows you to accomplish tasks and set goals and see them through to completion. This good stress is in fact good. This good stress is associated with the release of adrenaline, endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, all of which act as natural antidepressants and pain relievers in the body. The human body is amazing. It pumps adrenaline through our systems in response to stress, but if we don't use it up, that same adrenaline will manifest itself negatively in stress-induced tension, muscle pain, and more. Thus, a natural cycle within our bodies both relieves and contributes to stress. What are the sources? In today's economic environment, stress may be attributed to having a job as much as to not having one. There are massive layoffs across the country and across the globe, and they impact workers in all settings, including healthcare. Is it distress or eustress? When the body is acidic, there is distress at the cellular level. Stress contributes to chronic disease, and we need to eliminate the stressors in our environment, stressors that impact our ability to be balanced. In general, we associate distress with bad stress, the stress that takes a physical toll on our bodies. Positive stress, called eustress, evolves from the anticipation of joy, a new birth, physical exercise, graduation, or excitement, maybe a new job. Although the symptoms may be similar, eustress can create a good feeling as your body releases endorphins. It motivates you to continue down that ski slope or to the finish line of a half marathon. If you're suffering from some of the following symptoms, it may indicate that you are feeling the effects of stress. If you find that work or aspects of your work bring on or make these symptoms worse, speak to your manager, union representative, or human resources talent management department. Sometimes an early intervention will alleviate those symptoms. What are the emotional symptoms? Depression or sadness, disappointment with self, easily upset and tearful, loneliness, withdrawn, lack of motivation, and mood swings. What are the mental signs? Confusion, indecision, inability to concentrate, memory changes that are not related to aging. And others, changes in eating habits, sleep disturbances, gastric problems, headaches, increased use of substances such as tobacco and alcohol. What about stress and cholesterol levels? A negative reaction to stress can be seen in cholesterol levels. Stress may raise your cholesterol level, both immediately and over the long term. British researchers evaluating the stress reactions of 199 healthy adults found that participants who reacted more strongly to emotional situations also demonstrated immediate and significant increases in cholesterol levels. Years later, the same study participants who initially responded more dramatically to stressful situations experienced a more significant elevation in cholesterol levels than other study participants. How significant? Those who had initial stress responses in the top third of the group 3 years later were more likely to have readings above the recommended levels for cholesterol than those whose initial stress responses fell in the bottom third. So, what is the connection? While researchers are uncertain, one theory is that stress might increase the body's inflammatory response, which in turn increases lipid production. Are healthy work settings the answer? Workplace health and wellness initiatives have positive implications for both organizations and staff. Studies have found that implementation of wellness programs can result in better health for employees and lower health costs for organizations. A simple example of a wellness initiative is offering chair massage at no or reduced charge for employees. My former employer offered it on a monthly basis, and there was always a waiting list for this amazing stress reducing treatment. But it's not always just that. Three issues with which we all cope to a greater extent post COVID are voice, burnout, and understaffing. Let's talk about voice. Give them a voice or watch them leave. Your staff members, that is. Employees want and need to be heard. They need to feel as if their opinions matter, especially at work, where livelihood and career are on the line. As leaders, it's your role to ensure that your team feels empowered to speak up and speak out. Today's DE&I initiatives ignore a critical factor, belonging. Let's add the letter B. The more we engage our team members, the more we give them a sense of belonging and ensure that their voices are heard. They need a platform from which to share ideas and concerns. They need a transparent setting. They need to be trusted, listened to, and heard. Burnout. If your team is experiencing overwork and overwhelm, who's to blame? Who can control the situation by getting to the root cause, understanding their feelings, and generate solutions? You, as the leader, hold the reins. Why are employees burned out? Lack of clarity, lack of accountability, autonomy, and authority, perhaps a bad job fit, a lack of direction, excessive meetings, and a toxic work environment. Let's examine a typical situation that involves many of these factors. Think about the job descriptions that you read online, and then think about what happens when you accept a position and it is clear that the environment described in the online ad does not match reality. Not only is the position different, but there is no sense of direction, and the environment itself is misaligned in terms of values and culture with your own as the new team member. Burnout is on the rise and is a key factor in mental health awareness, depression prevention, and treatment. A proactive approach aimed at avoiding burnout is required, and it is a team effort that starts with leadership. A band-aiding approach will no longer work. The real solution lies in a surgical approach, one that fixes or repairs the problem through organizational change, including active listening, transparent communication, and proactively encouraging mental and emotional support. It is time to remove the stigma associated with disclosure and encourage self-care. The conversation about stress management, depression, and suicide needs to change. 11 years ago, the call came, but I remember it as if it was yesterday. Time stood still for me. Matt did not want to die. He simply wanted to remove the pain. Crushed, saddened, and helpless, I wish that I had been there to hold a hand, to offer comfort, to understand the stress, the risk, and the outcome. With over 4 decades as a global healthcare trainer and real-life experience, I know stress. As a nurse, I learned that we are unprepared, that health professionals need more training in the assessment, management, and treatment of clients who are suicidal, and that suicide prevention is a community responsibility. We all need to own it, yet it is overlooked. And now, understaffing. How do you deal with understaffing for the short haul? You may reallocate time and talent, automate as much as possible, and attribute successes to the team. In healthcare, the competition for staff is more intense than ever before. We've seen cyclical nursing shortages, but this is different. The war on talent has a definite impact on how we lead. What are your leadership goals? Do you aspire to become a team lead for your department? Or would you like to expand your practice beyond your current setting and consider a more global opportunity within or perhaps beyond the organization. Welcome to the shift to values led healthcare, where culture impacts outcomes. Are you prepared to challenge the status quo, educate others, pay it forward, and hone your leadership skills? Does your current position align with your own vision and purpose? This and more are possible in a values led environment. The pandemic brought a perfect storm of challenges for healthcare providers with a disruptive impact on practice and process. One thing that did not change was our commitment to the profession. A change in thinking to values led leadership can be transformational, communicating an organization's vision and culture. This, in turn, motivates current and future staff by helping them to recognize what matters most about their positions and the contribution that they make to patient outcomes. This is what will win the war on talent and prepare us for our future. What are the implications? A values led environment is an ideal community for nursing's future. From novice to expert, there is an opportunity for each of us to shine. A culture that fosters growth and empowers staff to be engaged, to feel valued, to be heard, will win the war on talent. The patient-centered design has been at the forefront of healthcare for years and has proven to be an effective way to attract patients to a facility. We must leverage staff-centered design to attract and retain the best talent as well. And this is applicable to other settings. Everyone is impacted by the shifting workforce and subsequent staffing shortages. This is true in a variety of settings beyond the acute care space. The pandemic has increased the demand for staff and created heavy workloads, longer hours, and extraordinary stress levels. What do we need to lead in this environment? We need to embrace the values-led leadership. Strong healthcare leaders are needed to change the trajectory of the status quo and emulate values that align with culture. How do we cope? There are multiple ways in which you can become stress resistant. Coping mechanisms include stop feeling guilty, be decisive, and avoid being a perfectionist. Don't let perfect get in the way of good. Take good care of your emotional and physical self. Remember to give yourself a break. You deserve it. The best words of wisdom come from Pooh's Little Instruction Book. Don't underestimate the value of doing nothing or just going along, listening to all the things you can't hear and not bothering. Again, in the words of Gandhi, there is more to life than increasing its speed. We hear about stress every day, but there is more to life than stress. What steps will you take to ensure your healthy future?